Hello everyone. I am Ilavarsan, Assistant Professor of English, CPA College. Today we are going to discuss the poem Nine Gold Medals written by David Roth. Before I am starting this poem, I want to tell you about something. David Roth. He was born in New Jersey, US. He was the writer. David Roth is an American journalist, essayist, and editor. He has written about sports, politics, and cultures. Now let's start this poem with the explanation. There are 8 stanzas in the poem, and each stanza consists 4 lines. David Roth tells us about the spirit of sportsmanship and compassion. It encourages human compassion and cooperation. It draws inspiration from the 9 differently abled athletes in Special Olympic event. It explores human kindness and empathy. Now let's start in first stanza. The athletes had come from all over the country to run for the gold, for the silver and bronze. Many weeks and months of training, all coming down to these games. In this first stanza, the poet is saying athletes have come from many countries all over the world to take part in the Special Olympics. They have come with the dream to win either gold or silver or bronze medal. They have gone through strenuous training for months to participate in the evening with high hopes and dreams of winning medals. It was the day to prove themselves. Now let's start second stanza. The spectators gathered around the old field to cheer on all the young women and men. The final event of the day was approaching. Excitement grew. How to begin? In the second stanza, the poet is saying the spectators had gathered around the old field just before the game was supposed to begin, just to cheer on all the young women and men, that is the participants. The event was about to happen, which made the people excited and eager. Now let's start third stanza. The blocks were all lined up for these who would use them. The 100-yard dash and race to be run. These were 9 resolved athletes in back of the starting line, poised for the sound of the gun. In this third stanza, the poet saying the names of the runners who would take part in the 100-meter race were announced. There were 9 participants, all determined to win the competition, and lined up behind the starting point. They were ready to start, waiting for the sound of the gun. Now we are start fourth stanza. The signal was given, the pistol exploded, and so did the runners, all charging ahead. But the smallest among them, he stumbled and staggered and fell to the asphalt instead. In this fourth stanza, the poet saying the pistol exploded, signaling the start on the race. All the runners changed ahead along their respective tracks, but suddenly they acquired an unaccepted thing. The shortest athlete among them stumbled and staggered and fell on his knees to the ground, the asphalt track. Now we start fifth stanza. He gave out a cry in frustration and anguish. His dreams and his efforts all dashed in the dirt. But as sure as I am standing here telling this story, the same goes for what next occurred. The poet says, fifth stanza, nothing would be more frustrating for a differently abled athlete after such tough training. The moment he fell, he knew all his dreams, hopes, and efforts were dusted. His pain and disappointment made him give out of a cry. But it did not end here. There occurred something really strange following his fall. Let's start sixth stanza. The 8 other runners pulled up on their heels, the ones who had trained for so long to complete. One by one they all turned around and went back to help him, and brought the young boy to his feet. In this stanza, the poet saying, strangely enough, the 8 other athletes who were ahead of him stopped in their tracks. Though they had trained hard for so long to compete with one another and win medals, the fallen one athlete changed their minds. They now returned one by one and helped the fallen one stand up on his feet. Now we are start 7th stanza. Then all the 9 runners joined hands and continued. The 100-yard dash now reduced to a walk, and a banner above the said Special Olympics could not have been more on the mark. In this stanza, the poet saying, then all the 9 athletes joined hands and walked to the finishing line together. The 100-meter race was reduced to a walk, but still it was special for the great display of human compassion, cooperation and sportsman spirit. It could not have been more special in any way. Now we start 8th stanza, and it is also the last stanza of the poem. That's how the race entered with 9 gold medals. They came to the finish line holding hands still, and a standing ovation and 9 beaming faces said more than these words ever will. In this last stanza, the poet saying, all the runners reached the end point together by holding each other's hands. The race entered with all of them as winners. They stood in smiling faces under the banner that declared it as a Special Olympic. Those smiling faces touched the heart of everyone present there. It delivered something special, a great feeling and a great lesson. They were rewarded with a gold medal each. All of them were smiling, and their smiles said more than the words could say. Now this poem has been completed, and we will have critical analysis of this poem in the next session. Thank you.